Yes, and a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It's a Thursday morning. Beautiful sunny skies here on the Spice Isle. So nice to have you guys with us. I expect to see you popping up momentarily on social media. I don't have to tell you guys. It's going to be a good day. Why? Well, it's a Thursday, meaning that B is going to be in here. I expect him any minute now to be knocking on the door out there. I hope he realizes that it's been left open for him. And today we're going to do things a little bit differently. He's actually coming in here. He's not going to be joining us electronically like he usually does, but he will be with us in the flesh this morning. Now, we're going to be dealing with a couple of things this morning. There's something really interesting I want to show to you guys. I think John out there in Carriacou is going to be especially interested in this because there's been a major milestone for electricity in Carriacou. And yesterday I received a short video. It's only about a minute and a half or so. And I want to share that with you. Boy, it's so nice to see some stuff happening out there in parish number 7, constituency, is it? Constituency number 7, is it? Whatever. Constituency number 1? John, I think you'll be happy when you see this. Also, now this is where we're going to do things a little bit differently this morning. I received a piece about the derelict buildings in and around the city of St. George from the Gudday Grenada Foundation. I published it on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website, and as soon as I did, I thought, hey, I got to share this with my buddy, AB. So I passed it on to AB, and I asked him, and I said, listen, when you chat with us on Thursday, would you be willing to comment on this? Because the Gudday Grenada Foundation, they're making a proposal to government and everybody as to how we could handle this really disgusting situation we have with derelict buildings here in Grenada. And so AB, like that, agreed. And you're going to find out why this morning, because a lot of people don't know it. But he is somebody who's been very much behind the preservation of our cultural heritage down on the Carriacou. Not going to tell you much about that. What I'm going to do right now, in just a minute, is read to you the proposal from the Gudday Grenada Foundation. And then, when Alan comes on, we're going to, obviously he's got a lot of things to bung away on. That's his nature. Okay, but we're also going to be talking about his views about that proposal from the Gudday Grenada Foundation. So hang in there. Of course, yes, they're in this morning. Came in kind of late last night, but they're in the national report from the GIS. And as I mentioned, Alan's also going to be joining us in the flesh. See, we've got a chair set up here for him and all that stuff. Now, here is a minute. Where is it? There it is. Yes. Here is a minute-and-a-half presentation about work which has recently been done by Derelict and Carriacou. You know, as I sat and watched this, you know the thought that came to mind? I think you folks know the hassles we've been having connecting with people from Carriacou on this program and any other program, because of the caliber of internet service that we have. And I'm just hoping that sooner rather than later they will upgrade the internet services in Carriacou as Derelict has done with electricity. Take a look.
We are working on a project up in Carriacou to upgrade the controls on the generators. The controls are outdated and it does not give us the flexibility when we want to connect a new generator.
The Carriacou power plant has 3 Cummins gensets and a Caterpillar unit. They are not compatible. The Caterpillar was added as something, a retrofit, essentially to help with generation when we had a Cummins outage. So the control systems were never meant to operate together initially. So what this project did is essentially created a means that the Caterpillar unit and the Cummins system, the original Cummins system of the Carriacou plant, can be compatible.
Now we have seamless transition from one generator system to another. The customer won't even know the difference. We chose Governor Controls because we've had a number of experience with them. We designed the system together.
This project couldn't come at a better time when we are seeing growth on our system.
The good part about this system here now, I know for sure, I didn't think nobody would be calling me out of my bed. Me and the other team members, because we had to rush to get back our engine in time for the island's peak.
Yeah, I want to thank the customers. Thanks for their patience.
It's a major milestone for us, and the overall benefits would be improved reliability.
GRENADA, energizing our community.
All right, so there it is. That's the piece that I was sent by GRENADA yesterday. Isn't that great news? And like I said, I'm hoping that following closely on their heels will be the internet service providers. Now, so much for GRENADA. Let's talk now about the derelict buildings in and around St. George. And the piece I'm about to share with you was sent to me by the Gudday Grenada Foundation. And by the way, I do expect that Norris Mitchell, who's former president of the association, will be in our audience this morning. It says, and I quote, "The Gudday Grenada Foundation has always expressed its concerns about the derelict buildings in St. George's and its environs. The owners or inheritors of these buildings obviously have lost interest in their maintenance and refurbishment, perhaps due to escalating construction and maintenance costs, and in some cases, absentee owners who do not intend to return to Grenada. The buildings have become a source of infestation from mosquitoes, rats, roaches, and other disease-carrying rodents and insects, and also they pose a threat to public safety and the incidence of fire. We believe government has the authority and the power to take control of these buildings that can be used for the purpose of creating a market economy, specifically for small local investors, by first publishing the government's intention in the press and in the Government Gazette, by giving 60 days notice or other necessary legal requirements, after which the state would take the necessary action. These buildings can and should be cleared of all debris or demolished if a threat to public safety, and sold to local investors at a cost equivalent to demolition or cleanup of the works, with the following suggested conditions. Now, this is where I want you to listen real carefully, okay? 1. The commencement of refurbishment or construction must be done within a year and completed within a specific time period. It's a suggestion from the Gudday Grenada Foundation. The design must conform to the architecture specific to St. George's, that is, clay tiled roofs and external brick facing in the Georgian style. Kind of stuff you see around the carriage there by Hubbard's. Okay. Government is to grant duty-free concessions on materials to the people who agree to accept this proposal. The developer or investor must be local or have local interest. You know, a lot of people, every time somebody comes around now, they just say, well, we selling out the country. Eh? No. Can't allow that to happen. We have to take pride in our natural heritage. There should also be a waiver of outstanding property taxes owed on these derelict buildings. Property which has been restored, get this, is not to be sold before 20 years. In other words, if you do this thing now, don't think that 2 or 3 years down the road, hey, somebody comes along and says, I like that, let me sell it, make some money. Nah, you have to be committed for 20 years. Okay. No entrepreneur would be allowed to acquire more than 2 properties. And finally, it says here, we believe that bank loans can be based on value of the land as collateral and not cleanup costs. This would certainly encourage local investors and perhaps give the present owners, if any can be identified or determined, give them a new start. Okay? Now, the reason why I asked Alan to come in here this morning is because I know of the role he's played in sort of preserving that ambiance we have down on the Carriacou. And I wanted to hear how he felt. We have not discussed it. I wanted to hear how he felt about the proposal that I just read to you from the Woody Redhead Foundation. So he is here. Just let me give you a quick glance, just so you know see that? Look at that. He's wearing one of my favorite colors this morning. Yeah, so there he is. But before we get to Alan, hey, come on, man. I'm not going to deprive you of your daily sojourn with the National Report. Why would I do such a thing? Are you nuts? No, I'm not. So let's take our first little break and we'll come back with the GIS.
Start the stride to a healthy lifestyle at the 2019 annual Bump It Up Family Fun Walk. There'll be more fun, more smiles, and more prizes for families and friends. Join us in Carriacou on April 7th at 4 p.m. as we walk from the Harveyvale playing field to the Hillsborough tennis court. And in Grenada on April 28th at 4 p.m. from the Montrouge playing field to the National Cricket Stadium. Packages cost $20 per person for up to 2 individuals and $15 per person for groups of 3 or more. Come out in your numbers to help us raise funds towards re-establishing the Carlton Home. Welcome home.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Alrighty, folks, it's now 15 minutes after 9 o'clock, just before I move along here. Let me say good morning to those of you already out there on Facebook this morning. Hello, Mags and the Big Apple. She's there bright and bushy-tailed this morning. Peter Bishop is saying good morning from a raining Long Island. Boy, Peter has had one hell of a week. He's checked in this week from Long Island, from Brooklyn, from Virginia, from Washington. Washington, yeah. Just wait until Baczynski finds out that you've been hanging out with a Don. Your goose cooked. Anyhow, Grenada Sunshine is also saying good morning to you guys. Alton Sylvester is also saying good morning, and so is Fitzroy Adams. And then so is T.F. Richards. He says the commencement time for work and the start of class has been clashing. He hopes he doesn't get detention. Doesn't want to be detained. Now, we're not going to be mean to you. Lincoln! Hello there, Lincoln. Yesterday I had the pleasure of meeting Lincoln face-to-face, electronically. And what a pleasure that was. He says, positive thoughts in the morning can change your whole day. Have an awesome day every day. And sending much love as well. And there's my good friend out there, Debbie. How are you doing, Debbie? You and your baby. She says she's hoping that our day is a bright and happy day. Jackie O is saying good morning from a rainy Washington, D.C. Hello. So it's raining in Washington. It's raining in Long Island. That we've established. And Edith Phillip is saying good morning from Wallaceburg in Canada. Edith, I'm trying to remember. I'm ashamed of myself. I lived in Canada for 16 years, and I can't remember where Wallaceburg is. Is it in Ontario? Never mind. Folks, here comes yesterday's edition of the National Report.
Investor interest evident in Grenada's secure investment climate. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for today, Wednesday, March 20th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Grenada's economic stability and prudent fiscal management are boosting investor confidence. For the second consecutive year, the island has attracted low yields on its short-term debt instruments as its latest auction yielded an interest rate of 1.9% with its reissue of a treasury bill on the regional government securities market. This is where governments of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU, trade treasury bills and bonds to raise funding for economic activities. This year, Grenada rolled over 15 million T-bills from 2018 and attracted $26.4 million after competitive bidding by investors. This, according to head of the Debt Management Unit, Carriacou, speaks volumes for the level of confidence investors now have in Grenada's economy. He says as a result of their confidence and the competitive bidding, the interest rates are being pushed down.
Our studies have shown that, yes, there are a larger number of potential investors out there that are not currently accessing the market at the level that we would like them to access the market, but you're definitely seeing a shift, an increase in the existing levels of investments that we're seeing from investors on the ground and in the region. So that's why we can speak to the investor confidence. The process that is used to obtain the treasury bill, competitive bidding on the auction, the interest rates could only go down and be driven down if the investors are competing actively in trying to get a hold of the government bills. So these things do say to us that we have investors out there who are very much interested in getting a hold of the Grenadian bills and bonds when they're being auctioned on the market.
Peer attributes Grenada's constant pull of investors to good practices like careful spending, being transparent, and prudent fiscal management.
Grenada has implemented a number of laws, new laws, and best practice models as it relates to fiscal management, as it relates to transparency, as it relates to good governance. And we are seeing the impact of these laws. We've seen the impact of these guidelines, and so that we've placed, put into effect. And the impact of those, it's obvious in the numbers. We, for the first time in years, we've seen 3-4 years of constant growth, high-level growth, over 4.5% growth in GDP. Grenada is recording surpluses, you know, in terms of its balances, and that is great. You know, it's showing that simple economics, we are not overspending. We're not spending more than we're making.
The Ministry of Climate Resilience and the Environment is seeking solutions to the influx of sargassum seaweed on our shores. In a bid to curb the issue, an action plan has been presented to Cabinet on the way forward. Speaking at the government's weekly post-Cabinet briefing, Minister for Climate Resilience and the Environment, Senator the Honourable Simon Steele, says the sargassum is a growing cause for concern. Hence, his ministry is trying to find ways of remedying this chronic issue. According to Senator Steele, teams of environmental wardens are tasked with the responsibility of manually reading the beaches of the seaweeds. This solution, he says, is more environmentally friendly.
What we've found is the sargassum inundation has actually started early. So this is certainly a chronic issue that we see as getting worse as the years progress. But within that action plan, there were a number of solutions that are being proposed that will be rolled out in due course. It starts with the mobilization of our environmental wardens. There are wardens, teams of wardens that are associated with each constituency, 4 teams per constituency, 6 wardens per team. So they would be responsible for doing the manual clear up. So this is light, environmentally sensitive clearing, and environmental wardens have already been deployed to some of our beaches, certainly up in St. Patrick's. So that is going to continue throughout the course of the year.
In addition, the Environment Minister says government is in the process of sourcing suitable machinery to aid in the offshore cleaning, one of which has been received through the German Development Agency. Senator Steele says while solutions are being sought, prevention is also significant.
The equipment was actually deployed for clearing of the reeds in Granatang. That was the original project design. But we've asked the technical experts at GIZ whether this equipment could also be used in saltwater conditions offshore, and they have confirmed that. So we are working with GIZ, with NAWASA, in terms of how we can actually deploy this offshore to reduce the amount of sargassum that comes on shore, and those discussions are taking place as we speak. So what we will see is, with the introduction of that machinery, a much more efficient collection. But we know that isn't going to be enough. Also, it's one piece of equipment. We have many beaches. We also have Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So the ministry is also working together with the OECS Secretariat, with other islands within the region, as to other pieces of equipment that are suitable for deployment. The third area is prevention. So it's looking at solutions such as booms, which could be deployed offshore, which will provide a physical barrier to the sargassum, so it could be kept offshore. And again, some of the equipment, marine equipment, could be deployed to reduce what is at the back of that barrier.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The safety on our roads make this a major priority. Health of our people, a crucial necessity. Accidents happen when road users are either irresponsible or inconsiderate in one way or the other. Play your part. Reduce your speed. Be attentive. It is your personal responsibility. Let 2017 be the start of no more road fatalities. Be safe, be seen, be smart. So let's wise up as a nation. Get to your destination safe.
Welcome back. Another successful staging of the National Secondary School Games, this time at Progress Park in St. Andrew, where the Eastern Zonal Meet was held. More than 140 athletes from 5 secondary schools were grouped in the zone, which included St. David's Catholic Secondary School, St. Joseph's Convent, St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School, Grenville Secondary School, and the Grenada Christian Academy. It was clean and competitive rivalry as the athletes ran to secure a placement on the team that will form the Eastern Zone to compete in the final against Southern Zone, Western Zone, and Carriacou, April 5th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. GIS spoke with Education Officer for District 3, Ms. Katian James. She's happy with the turnout by athletes and support of the fellow students. She says they have seen the impact of their efforts to ensure participation, given that sports is integral to the all-round development of the students.
If we are looking at holistic development, sport and health and all the other facets that we need to uplift the children are key components to their development. So activities like this, which would bring out their sportsmanship, fair play, their ability to mix, to meet new friends, to associate with others, to cheer others on, to compete is critical for their success in the future. So activities like this, I would really say, go a long way in helping develop the students.
GIS also spoke with some of the athletes, one of whom was Jamie Buddy of SAS, the winner of the 100-meter under 20 boys. He is looking forward to the games.
Every opportunity that I get, I should make use of it, because I'll never know what's coming next. Yeah.
And which are the other events that you're going to participate in?
The 200 and the relays, 4x1 and 4x4.
And the winner of the 1500-meter under 17 boys, Rickinson Henry, is looking forward to the April 5th meet.
I'll go train harder and come back for goal again. Yes, and I'll prepare myself for April 5th, start training and get better, improve on me stamina and speed, and go down and win my race.
Finally, in the news, the Roy Cape Foundation from Trinidad and Tobago has donated approximately 50 musical instruments to the Ministry of Culture to help enhance the ministry's programs in schools. The foundation, which focuses on reducing crime through music, made the donation to the ministry on Tuesday. Minister with responsibility for youth development, Honorable Kate Lewis, says that the timely venture will complement their work.
What they are contributing today will go a long way in enhancing the work that we do at the Ministry of Culture. Also enhancing what we do with our students in the music labs that we would have just implemented. We have one in St. George where over 52 students are participating, playing different musical instruments. This would be good for them, giving them the opportunity to express themselves through music, allowing them to see music as a career path.
Making reference to the recent successes of local artists here in Grenada, the minister is very appreciative for the donation that has been made.
We know that our soca, our calypso industry has been improving over the years, and our recent successes in the international soca monarch is testimony of this. So we are grateful for the Roy Cape Foundation and the contributions that they are making to us here today. And as a division of culture, we will continue to enhance and protect and preserve our Grenadian culture.
Founder Roy Cape says ensuring that young men are occupied is one of their priorities. Music, he says, can be a mechanism to reduce poverty and violence in communities.
Our youths are astray because we cannot find enough to give them to do. We might have, ways to speak about them, but if somebody cannot get anything to do to make a living, they're going to find, and it's the easiest way, ends up in crime then. I believe that music can play a part in that.
That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, March 20th. Recapping the top story: investor interest evident in Grenada's secure investment climate. On behalf of all those who made this newscast possible, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Alrighty, folks, there you have it. That's last night's edition of the National Report. Now, interestingly, I only see, not surprisingly though, I see one comment here pertaining to the report, and that comes from Peter Bishop, and he's saying investors lined up to buy the Treasury bills, and he's laughing out loud. Okay, now, folks, oh, by the way, Edith Phillip is clarifying for me that Wallaceburg is in Ontario, and that's close to Windsor. Thank you very much, Edith. Nice to have you on board with us. Please spread the word. Now, I don't have to tell you, folks, something went wrong this morning, and it ain't here. This morning, as you can tell, those of you who are on social media, we are having some hassles. I have not seen this happen since before Christmas, okay? For whatever reason, things have gone tits up this morning, and I see that Fitzroy Adams is saying the network is really bad today. Jackie O says, I thought it was the rain causing the poor connection. Marina Williams Johnson says, George, you might have spoken too soon about the provider. The service is not very good this morning. There is continuous stopping and starting. Yeah, she's talking about buffering. Donna Joseph is saying, the live is sticking. Yeah, folks, I know. Now, it's not here. But I just spoke with Digicel. I just did. And they are looking into the matter. I don't know if it's going to be resolved before we actually do complete this morning's program. But we're just going to move along because I will not deprive Mr. Baczynski of his opportunity to vent on a Thursday morning. So let's take a little break and we'll come on back.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And Grenelec is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while Grenada can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
Grenelec, energizing our Grenada.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance and Lumber Department, Carriacou, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Okie dokie, folks. It's now 25 minutes away from the hour. Let's take a look and let's say good morning to Mr. Alan Baczynski. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well.
Thank you very much for going off your norm. Did you ride to come down here this morning?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful day. It's the first. It's the first day of spring.
You know how I condiment the riding. Last night I sent him a WhatsApp saying, you know, would you be kind enough to come on down in person and use it as an excuse to pony up? You know, get on this little bikey. It's a scooter or a bike? What do you call it?
Scooter.
Excuse me. It's a scooter. It's not a bike. Okay. And come on down and enjoy the scenery. So he rode on down here. Alan, thanks a lot. I know this is very dear to your heart because you're one of those people sort of obsessed with the beautification of our Carriacou and preserving the old architecture. Before I get started, there's a note here from Lincoln Roberts, who's in Florida. He says, the old broken down buildings are long overdue for cleanup. If the owners are taxed based on what these properties are worth, they will find a way to get rid of them. I just hope that the owners are not like Trump, saying it's worth $1 million, but when it's time to pay the tax, it's only worth 100. So says Lincoln. Good sense of humor there, Lincoln. Alan, first of all, before we take a look at the video I want to share this morning, let me have your initial thoughts about the proposal from the Woody Redhead Foundation.
Okay, before I answer that particular request, let me say that riding through Woolwich Road this morning, I stopped to observe a large Toyota Coaster with tourists. They had all come out of the vehicle and were taking photographs of the carnage from Woolwich Road. This is an observation that I have made. The tour operators will be able to confirm it, that particularly on a clear day, the early morning meaning 9 o'clock, with the sun coming up over Richmond Hill in the east and shining onto the carnage, is a beautiful scene and provides a myriad of photo opportunities. So yes, we have something there which is of value. The question is, who besides the Willie Redhead Foundation and a few corporate citizens appreciate the value of what we have, instead of just mouthing off all the time about pure Grenada and doing nothing about it? So with regard to the specific proposals made by the foundation, these are ideas, the basis for discussion. I don't necessarily agree with some of the points raised, but fundamentally, what is required is political will. There has to be a recognition of the problem. And one of the worst offenders in this regard is the government of Grenada. I don't have to repeat the drill yard, the York House, Government House, and you can go on and on.
Ad infinitum.
No, nothing is done until there's a fire. We have laws against vagrancy. You cannot tell me that after the fire in Simmons Alley, the old Bachelor Hall area there, this is, it is a dereliction of duty on the part of the authorities. And so, whether it is the Minister of Tourism or the parliamentary representative for the town of St. George, none of these individuals is concerned, apparently, about what their responsibilities are regarding the stewardship of our built heritage. Now, the foundation has pointed out, and I believe that they are correct, that where properties subject to tax are in arrears, there are penalties, and it cannot be beyond the capacity of the relevant ministry, finance in this case, where they have an in-house legal advisor. They don't have to wait on the Attorney General's chambers or the Ministry of Legal Affairs. So that it can't be beyond their capacity to communicate with the owners of these properties, and where the owners have all died and the residue of the estate cannot be easily identified, then the state must intervene. Let the resident authority, not resident, the competent authority, let them do what they need to do to take action. If there is no owner, then it can't be that difficult to get a declaration from an appropriate court of law, if the legislation doesn't already provide for it, to take the building and establish whether or not it is worthy of salvage, or whether the only solution is demolition. But we cannot say that we are bringing people to Grenada to show the prettiest town in the Caribbean, and it is littered with physical and human debris.
Pure Grenada.
We got to do better than this. And so if it is that the foundation is taking the lead in starting the conversation as to what action can be taken, then they have my full support.
Okay. Yeah, I know the Woody Reddit Foundation, boy, they've been trying for years, but I think they're at the point where they sometimes feel like they're knocking their head against a brick wall.
Well, the brick wall is the reality that the people we elect into public office have different priorities to people who are concerned with the holistic development of the country, as opposed to only those who will vote for them.
All right, Alan, you know, when the Woody Reddit Foundation sent out their proposal this week, a couple of days ago, they also included an image, a photograph of one derelict building in particular. Is that Hughes Street?
Yes.
Hughes and the Carriacou?
Hughes Street and the Carriacou.
Okay. I went on down yesterday afternoon in preparation for this conversation and videotaped that building. Let's show them that now, and then you and I, let's take a walk from there, the foot of Hughes Street. That's where the old cable and wireless building used to be.
Where the courthouse used to be.
You wouldn't forget that, would you? We're going to walk from where the courthouse used to be along the Carriacou. What do you call it?
The pedestrian plaza.
The pedestrian plaza. We're going to walk in front of that plaza over to Hubbard. So let's take a look. Here, we're starting with that building. See the traffic coming down Hughes Street there. Isn't that disgraceful? Look at that. What do you have to say?
I can't think of a word stronger than disgraceful which I can say on air.
You know, it's hard to find Alan speechless, but I think we just did. Okay, so we're going to walk now from there. School kids. We're going to walk from there along the pedestrian plaza.
There's something coming up which is of interest. You will see a sign there. And from time to time, there is an entity selling drinks. There's a refreshment point.
Right there.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know who licensed this, other than to say that they must be supporters of a particular politician.
But I'll tell you, there's also a sign saying no selling of drugs or words to that effect.
Yeah, alcohol is not a drug, apparently.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So, straight ahead now is one of the buildings we're going to take a look at. What are we looking at here?
Straight ahead, you have the building known as number 21 Carriacou. For those of you who are old enough, Pressy Cold Storage used to be on the ground floor of that when I was a youngster.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. That building was damaged during Ivan, but repaired. You will notice, however, that it doesn't have clay tiles. It has a tile profile metal roof. And then you have the Hubbard's Lumber Yard, the refurbishment of which was completed last year. The top story of that building, along with the Anglican Church, was destroyed during Ivan, presumably from tornadic activity within the eye wall of the hurricane as it passed over St. George's. But it took a long time, but it has been restored, and if I do say so myself, it's beautiful. And I think the reason why that was restored is because with old photographs, that is the location from which the first contingent of Grenadian soldiers moved off to fight for king and country during World War I.
Okay.
And there's some old black and white photographs which will depict that. As you go further, there are some other buildings of more recent vintage, but then you come to Middleton House. That was severely damaged during Ivan.
That's this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was severely damaged during Ivan, and the bottom floor comprises some commercial activity. The top floor has one of the few remaining examples
banisters
of the balcony with the cast iron grill work. which you see in New Orleans, and they make a big deal out of it in New Orleans, but we don't do it here. This is up Young Street.
Yep.
That is the building which was lost to fire in July 2002. I think a pretty good job has been done by the property owners there. The one part occupied by Courts, the other part occupied by Hubbards. The interesting feature of this building, or should I say the most interesting feature perhaps, is the interior pedestrian walkway. So that from the fire station side, it looks as though it's all building. But when you get there, and you will see it from the other side as well, pedestrians have the option of shade and safety, because the roadway is pretty narrow right there. And as you can see, the number of windows...
That's the other end, right? Other entrance, okay.
The brickwork, all of that, to complement the extremely good job that was done after the 1990 fire, which destroyed the financial complex, because that was rebuilt. This is where the sales restaurant is on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
This is a particularly nice location for me because I remember still being in secondary school when Mr. Dabrio opened the Portofino restaurant at that location.
Okay.
In probably about 1967 or 1968.
I wasn't around then.
Yeah, I know. But it's been around. It's gone through several owners and changes. I think the last time there was a significant restaurant operation upstairs. The late Dennis Ross operated it. It was called Tut Bagay. So there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
But some people are prepared to preserve these older buildings, and some people, I'm afraid, led by the bad example of the government, choose not to.
You know, with all due respect, I mean, the Hubbard's buildings on the Carriacou stand out like sore thumbs. I'm saying that with due respect, but
yeah, but I can't speak to that because I was involved.
Well, yeah, you can't, but I can't. They stand out like sore thumbs. And I remember the days when I worked on the Rum Runner, seeing the gasp when we bring passengers from the cruise ships into the harbor, and they look around and they see the stuff, you know, they just stand there and...
Well, right now, so it's from the financial complex all the way down to the corner at by Rennick and Thompson.
Yeah, yeah.
So that built heritage, and it is complemented by the fact that Church Street, by and large, has benefited from the foresight of the owners of properties there. In particular, you can look at the Grenada Building and Loan property, which is beautifully maintained. And then, as an example of what can be done when you construct a new modern building, you look at Cooperative Bank. They have incorporated all of the old design features while building something which fits into St. George's and does not have to conflict with our architectural heritage.
Maybe having said that, let me throw this one at you. You know, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, what's happening down at Grand Anse with the Silver Sands and so on. I'm sure that in recent times you've heard a lot of talk as well about work to be done on the Carriacou as part of a major project that's going to be done. I'm not sure. It's a Chinese project, is it?
I have paid little attention to it for one simple reason.
We don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime.
I remember 20 years ago when the then Minister of Work said he was working on a project to make a ring road around the Carriacou.
Right.
Well, that was about 2 budget addresses and then no more. It's just like all these traffic lights that we have. We put in the traffic lights. They're not operable or not operating. I don't know which is correct. So instead of getting more Imanis, we now have traffic wardens.
Speaking about traffic wardens, just to get off topic here for a minute, T.F. Richards posted something here on Facebook. He says, the government of Grenada has inducted a new word. That word is wardens, traffic wardens, litter wardens, and now environmental wardens. Don't laugh yet. He says, just now, we will no longer have garbage collectors or VAT collectors. They will be called garbage and VAT wardens.
I would like to differ slightly.
Only slightly,
the individuals who are employed by solid waste, I refer to them as sanitation engineers.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, B. Once again, folks, I see we're still having some issues with the internet, and just want to remind you that at some point, when the internet returns, you will be able to go back and watch the entire program because we're recording it. It's also going to be up not only on Facebook, but also on YouTube, as well as on the site you're on right now, which is GRENADABROADCAST.com. All right, Mr. B, let's see here. I think we have exhausted the architecture of St. George.
Not at all.
No?
No. What about Government House? Imagine we're having a royal visit shortly.
Yes, yes.
I wonder if they will be able to screen the ruins of Government House from the royal visitors when they drive them up to the Parliament building. Because I can assure you that the royal visitors are well aware of the history of Government House, because I'm certain that Prince Charles' mother was received at Government House on her previous visits. And it is a national disgrace that succeeding or successive governments of Grenada did nothing since 2004 to even attempt to retrieve the historical artifacts that were damaged, or for all I know, may have been preserved under the rubble at that particular site. And I'm particularly aggrieved by this because earlier this year I was in Antigua and had the opportunity to visit Nelson's dockyard, and in particular Clarence House, which was the official residence of the Duke of Clarence. And there's a foundation in Antigua, naturally well supported by the government, which has restored the building after repeated hurricane damage, and they've got, I very much doubt, original artifacts. But they've even got the dining table in the main dining room set with china and cutlery and crockery from the period during which Admiral Nelson was resident at the dockyard, and presumably the Duke of Clarence. I'm not certain whether he was at one time governor of Antigua. But Clarence House, having gone there, my recollection is that our Government House was larger and better put together. Of course, I really, after Dame Hilda Baino left Grenada, I didn't I didn't frequent Government House as much.
I guess the difference between them and us is one word: appreciation.
Brimstone Hill in St. Kitts, those fortifications, I believe, are a UNESCO recognized site. The fortifications in Havana, Cuba, El Moro, I think it is, fantastic. When you appreciate your history, you learn from it, and you learn not to repeat the mistakes. And so that is why it is so important for us, particularly in this month of March, to be on guard against those who are trying to rewrite history to sanitize their particular roles in it.
Yeah. A.B., I don't know if you saw an article that I published on the website earlier this week about, you know, the fact that this place is just being littered to no end. Have you seen that by somebody named Brian Joseph?
You're talking about littering?
Yeah.
Well, I have railed against the fact that we are littered with Japanese solid waste in the form of all of these vehicles,
Skettles,
which are coming in, and literally you can get a 15-year-old Honda CR-V out of Japan in apparently good working condition and get it on the road for 25,000 EC dollars.
Yeah.
Well, God help you if you have to buy parts.
Yeah, yeah. Now, this person made the point that, you know, we have a tendency to be asking international agencies for funds, money to do
gimme,
this.
gimme.
Yeah, man. Every Monday morning, take a hat, jump on an airplane, go around the world, gimme. And we're not saying the work that those funds were intended to accomplish.
Well, you could ask what really went on with the report 4 years ago almost about lights for the stadium. Now I understand that all of a sudden questions are being asked about money that was disbursed, perhaps, with regard to a shrimp farm. Well, to tell you the truth, that one was under the radar. I didn't know about that one at all until I saw a very upset individual on TV complaining about it and saying that there needed to be more oversight. But yet, just last year, we were told that the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program is the gold standard for the Caribbean.
Yeah, man.
But more importantly, I saw an apparent difference of opinion between a minister without portfolio and the Honorable Minister of Finance in Parliament. I thought that was quite entertaining regarding their differing views on the Citizenship by Investment Program and its sustainability.
Yeah, I saw that.
And were you not entertained?
Yeah, of course I was. And I would like to reach, you know, he's one of those who really doesn't have too much use for George Grant, but I would
Which one?
The one on the northern end of the island.
The northern western.
The one the one who has concerns about the future of CDI.
He has the singular distinction of having nearly been incarcerated by the late Derek Knight regarding his failure as Minister of Finance to comply with a court order. His assets were about to be sequestered.
Okay.
Yes. So it will be interesting to see, given the most recent orders of the court with regard to disbursements to individuals, as to how long it will take before the individual is in receipt of said funds, or whether or not legal threats will again have to be issued.
You know, I was hoping to have her on the program with me this weekend, but we have so much going on this weekend, I'm unable to.
This is a busy place, eh?
A very busy place, but she's going to be with us the following weekend. Having said that, Mr. B, you kind of put me on the spot. I'm going to make a public announcement here right now that I haven't made before. Sunday morning, we're going to be joined by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Ewart Lane. Controversial figure, but he's coming in here to talk about, well, his views about the Privy Council's decision, you know, recently announced this week. Why are you staring at me like that, Mr.?
No, because I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. You just make me uncomfortable the way you're staring at me.
No, I'm giving you practice for Sunday.
Yeah, folks, Ewart Lane, Privy Council said no to his bid to, well, actually not said no. They're saying, you know, let's take this thing back to the High Court and wheel and come again, okay? But as it stands, no part of it. He's going to be in here to talk about that judgment. And I'm sure there are a lot of other things you're going to have to ask him, talk about. And so he should be in here at about 10:30 on Sunday morning. And I'm looking forward to you folks being in the audience with us. All right? We do have a couple other...
Particularly Kipling Francis.
Did you see the program we did last weekend with a guy named Dennis Charles?
No.
Oy, oy, oy.
Dennis Charles from Tivoli?
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, he was... No, he's still alive, so he is a victim.
He is. He is. Boy, he was... Alan, do yourself a favor. It's on the site. Go on back, take a look at it. This was one of the most riveting pieces I've ever done on a Sunday. Check it out.
Actually, one of the most riveting pieces I have ever seen is the interview with Callistus Bernard, where he explains that he and Lester Redhead, Andy Mitchell, Vincent Joseph, and somebody Richardson, Cosmos Richardson, he claims that it was only the 5 of them who murdered Morris Bishop and all the others up at the fort. But he's completely matter-of-fact about it and says that that was the system. Well, if that was the system and Mr. Lane was a high man in that system, well, I guess that tells you volumes.
I'll tell you, a lot is coming out of this 40th anniversary celebration, which is a controversial term used to describe what it was. Some felt it might be better described as a commemoration.
Yes, but then again, listening to some of the promoters of the event, in particular the Master of Ceremonies at the event where Dr. Kenny Anthony made his presentation, you would have to think that despite the high level of qualifications, that their education was inadequate for them to appreciate the distinction between a commemoration as opposed to a celebration. But that's a matter for them. I would think you cannot teach an old dog new tricks.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Baczynski. I do appreciate you coming in here in person this morning. Take one look at your distinguished audience out there, even though they may be having a tough time seeing you live. But I hope you're going to join us in the audience on Sunday, and we shall see thee by God's grace next Thursday. Okay?
Bye now.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, folks. There it goes, Mr. Baczynski. And that's going to I'm 4 minutes over time already this morning. So I'll tell you what. Yeah, it's just about time to pull the curtain down. So, on that note, I'm going to leave you with a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Job 33, verses 15 to 18 says, "In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds, he may speak in their ears and terrify them with warnings, to turn them from wrongdoing and keep them from pride, to preserve them from the pit, their lives from perishing by the sword." Job 33, 15 to 18. On that note, pilgrims, once again, my sincere apologies for the technical issues we had this morning. Guess Digicel is working on that. I'm not even sure it's their problem. It may be even further on up the line. But things have been going really good since just before Christmas, up until this morning. Georgie Porgy sending God's blessings your way, and by His grace I shall see thee tomorrow morning at 9. So long.